Today we're going to be reviewing another Dynasty Fantasy Football rookie mock draft. This one's going to be 1 QB. We're going to cover the picks. I'll give you my feelings, but this will give you another gauge of the market. We're trying to cover as many mock drafts as possible so you can get a good feel of what other people are doing, and then you make your decisions off of that, or you just tell those people they're stupid. I'm not in this draft. This was sent to me. But we're going to take a look at that. But before we do all that, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because I'm going to help you with your rookie drafts. I'm going to help you with your dynasty teams. Nobody covers rookies more than I do. Just look at the catalog of my videos. You'll see that. You're going to want to hit that button so you can stay in the know. But the first pick in this 1 QB rookie mock draft, coming off the board here, we know who it is. Marvin Harrison Jr., and he is the first player off the board in 99.9% of drafts out there. 99.9% of drafts out there, especially 1 QB. First player off the board, second player off the board, and 2 QB Superflex. Sometime is the first player off the board if they don't like Caleb Williams. I like Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not against this at all, but we got to move on. We got to move on to the second pick here, coming off the board at the 102. We know who it's going to be, Malik Nabers, because he's a stud wide receiver prospect, a generational talent, just like Marvin Harrison Jr. Both very solid wide receiver prospects. Pick your poison. I like them both. I want them both. I can't get them both on all my teams, but if I could, I would. I am trying to get as many shares as possible of these two guys as you guys are doing as well. But it's a 50-50 split right now with me. I grabbed a Malik Nabers share yesterday just to get it. I could have went quarterback in a 2 QB league, but I felt like I was low on shares compared to my Marvin Harrison Jr. shares. I made sure I got that share of Malik Nabers. That way, I felt good about that. But I'm also good at quarterback in a lot of my leagues as well. I'm pretty diversified, so I felt like I could make that move. But we got to move on to the 103 here, and this one might be a surprise. I took a quick look. Brock Bowers coming off the board at the 103. I like to strategize around the tight end position, and the thing about the tight end position in the first round, oftentimes I will fade tight end, that top tier tight end, and just get the wide receivers and running backs and draft around it, and just spare a portion of my portfolio after I've seen a number of my drafts, and maybe make that move for a tight end like a Kyle Pitts or a Brock Bowers, see what happens. But I am very leery. I tread the waters very tight. That being said, 103 is a little bit too rich for my blood. I like the other players on the board, the other wide receivers and running backs. Brock Bowers, though, I will diversify to him, but the tight end position, I try to buy the next year on the cheap, the year after, and if it doesn't work, oh well. If they hit, I'll gladly pay up for a tight end. I definitely will, especially in another startup draft. So, honestly, it's not like I don't like them. It's just a strategy around the tight end position. That being said, at 103, a little rich for my blood. I'd pay for him 106 range, 107 range, something like that. 105 at the most. 103 is a little too rich. That being said, are we getting rich at the 104? What's happening here? Because I'm not taking a look. I'm not looking here. It's Brian Thomas Jr. coming off the board at the 104. A little rich for my blood. I get the upside here. I think this is a great landing spot. Still a little rich for my blood, because I see the downward volatility of that 1 year of production there at LSU. Seems a little scary, but it's a great fit. Trevor Lawrence wants to push the ball downfield. You saw that in his ADOT numbers last year. But Brian Thomas Jr. also commands a good ADOT. Can get downfield, runs into 4.3s, very fast release package. I think this is a great marriage for both the quarterback and the wide receiver. We got to move on to the 105 or this be like a 5-hour draft. At the 105, coming off the board here, Caleb Williams. 1 QB. I feel like this is a little early. I was in a 1 QB draft the other day. I may show my draft. I will do that. Drop a like if you want that. Let me know in the comments. Once my home league draft is done, I will share it. It is IDP. Maybe that'll help you with some IDP. And it's a home league draft, so it's going to be weird and random. Caleb Williams in a 1 QB home league draft. Went like 110 or something like that, 111. Feels about right strategizing for 1 QB. Feels about right. If you consider him a top tier prospect at the quarterback position, that seems like the better price tag. Personally, I would pay around like 201 at the earliest, 203-ish. Sounds better, 205-ish. But I understand wanting to pay up for a guy like Caleb Williams. I understand, but 105 is too rich. For me, especially on 1 QB, especially the waiver wire, is rich with quarterbacks in the middle of the year. But moving on to the 106. Let's see if a heady hitter comes off the board here. Odunze, come on down. I like his profile. I don't mind him going to Chicago. I think he's still got some upside there. You just got to be a little patient maybe. At the 106, I think this is a good discount. The wide receiver 1 in any other class. And the landing spot doesn't really matter too much to me. He's going to get a good 8-eye. He's going to have some upside. And even if Keenan Allen and DJ Moore impact him, I'm going to buy in and get some cheaper shares. That's what I'm going to do. I'm watching like a hawk. I'm going to prey on the weak. I'm going to try and get him. But at the 107, coming off the board, Xavier Worthy. I did pick up some shares today of Xavier Worthy. I want that 4.2 speed. I want that upside. I want that Patrick Mahomes. I want that trade value, insulation of the chief privilege, a lot there. Xavier Worthy, come on down at the 107. Next player coming off the board at the 108, Jonathan Brooks at the 108. I picked him up in a league as well today. A little bit cheaper than this, though. 110-ish, somewhere around there, 109. I don't know where the pick was. I won it in a trade, and it was in the back half of the first round somewhere. But it was cheaper than 108. That's what I do remember. I do like him. He's my top running back in the class talent-wise. Situation, Trey Benson can push. I will diversify between the two running backs because I'm a portfolio player. So I'm just giving you the truth. Is it 50-50? Might be more 60-40 Jonathan Brooks over Trey Benson. But I am closer than most people when it comes to those two running backs. Going off the board to the 109, Ladd McConkey. And for some people, this is too low. And for other people, this is too high. Ladd McConkey is a huge split. Once I drop my overall rankings, which I got caught up with rookie camp. That'll come out. 109 here with Ladd McConkey. I think that it's a good gamble here, considering what the Chargers got Herbert. There's other wide receivers. There's a few other wide receivers I believe that I have preference over him. I would slam Trey Benson. At 109, I think this is the range where you start thinking about him, though. I do not mind it. I do not hate you, and I will draft some Ladd McConkey. But we're moving on to the 110. Coming off the board, Trey Benson. I like this fit with Arizona. I like his size-adjusted athleticism. James Conner's not going to be there forever. I think you're getting a prospect there that's going to give you something on the back nine of the season, if not sooner. He's at least going to give you some spotty production here in 2024. That being said, let's move on to our next pick. Coming off the board, Jaden Daniels at the 111. He's got the rushing upside. This is where the first quarterback should be coming off the board. I feel like in this range, I would like it a little cheaper. But again, 1 QB. Sometimes those stud quarterbacks you gotta go up and get. Andrew Luck was going in the first round of 1 QB drafts back in the day. That's not a barometer though, because that's not a sticky situation, because back in the day things were a lot different. A lot less information, especially on strategy. But that's where he was valued. Joe Burrow, I think he was going late first, second roundish. I think so, if I remember right, in 1 QB leagues. I think he was going around this range or a little cheaper. Jaden Daniels going to the Commanders. I like the rushing upside. He's got Terry McLaurin. He's got some pieces there. He sure does. He's got Austin Eckler. He's got Zach Ertz. He's got some pieces there. He could be a surprise option this year. Moving on to the next pick. Finish up the first round. Keon Coleman coming off the board. I like him a lot. But now the market likes him, and now he's hot. But now that the market likes him, you may catch more trade value if you want to deal him off if he exceeds expectations. He might jump the shark in value if you start seeing a little bit of production And if you weren't too keen on Keon, then you just move on and you take a return on investment or you enjoy the production. But that being said, recapping round 1, we got Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, Brock Bowers, and Brian Thomas Jr. really changing up the first round here. Odunze, Xavier Worthy. I like that spot. I like those 2 wide receivers. Diversifying those guys. Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. 2 diversified players. Ladd McConkey around the 109 is when I'm thinking about him, but there's other players like Keon Coleman and Trey Benson that I'm looking at that I am drafting ahead of him. That being said, I think this is a solid / weird / not so solid first round considering what we saw on the top end. But for a look, I think it's great because it's going to give you a look of home league drafts, how things can be different considering the pool of players is kind of weird considering how good we are at the top end, how ambiguous we are with this good talent here, where you can get a Brian Thomas Jr. Any other year, if he's drafted at 104, you're not really going to bat an eye. This year, it's weird. That's why it's very ambiguous. And he's got a good quarterback. He's a first-round wide receiver with 4.3 speed. That is very interesting. He could be a quiet hitter. He could be a sneaky guy. But we got to move on to round 2. We got to see what's going on there. And then coming off the board as the first pick in round 2, we're going to start moving a little quicker. Drake May. Drake May. Drink me. Drink me. 201. Drink me is coming off the board for the Patriots here. You got Javon Baker. You got Jalen Polk. You got some upside there over the long term. If they can turn the ship around, Drake May is going to hit. But can they do so? And can you be patient with them? 1 QB. There's running backs and wide receivers left on the board. Can you do it? 202, Blake Corum. We got Kyren Williams there, but it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter that much to me. It doesn't matter. In a couple years, maybe less than that, Blake Corum, that's going to be his backfield. Kyren Williams may not get a next contract because that's what we do with running backs these days. It could be Blake Corum's backfield. And Kyren Williams isn't going to see that big old workload anymore. 203, Ricky Pearsall. This is too rich for my blood. I like Ricky Pearsall, one of my guys coming into the draft, but this is too rich for my blood. I would prefer him around the 210 range, 208 range, because the depth chart is pretty stuffed. His overall production score is very iffy. That being said, I do like him. I like what I see on tape, but I want him cheaper. Next, Xavier Leggett. I look at him as a boom-bust play. You're either going to get it all or you're going to get nothing. And if you want to invest in that, then understand what you're getting. But the downside's there. The upside's there. You're either seeing people look at straight-up upside or straight-up downside. I understand. One of those two things are going to happen. You're not going to see a guy who's hovering around wide receiver 35 every year. That's not going to be him. It's either going to be like a top 10 wide receiver or nothing. 205, Troy Franklin. This is a little too rich for my blood, too. I like him 210 earliest, around that range. 209, I don't care. I'm splitting hairs. 211, somewhere around there. That's where I like him. There's other players on the board that's a little more safer. I like the depth chart of Denver for him. There's a pathway to opportunity. But still, it's a little too rich considering he fell to the 4th round. But I understand this is a very deep wide receiver class. And you're going to get wide receivers that are good going to the 4th round. And he was one of the first picks in the 4th round. I'm not too worried. That's not going to throw me off too much. But I do want the discount. I don't want to pay more than it's worth just because of the name cachet. I want that 4th round discount. 206, Bucky Irvin. Bucky Irvin. There's other running backs I want. There's some wide receivers there I want. Wide receiver position starting to get iffy. Get your running back. It's just my running back is somebody different, but he will catch passes out of the backfield. Tampa Bay's good with that. White may not be there forever. White may not be healthy forever. You never know. But J.J. McCarthy's coming off the board here at 207. You know what? Great for a first-round quarterback. 207 range. He's got Justin Jefferson. If I'm paying for QB and 1 QB, this is probably where it's at. 208, A.D. Mitchell. Another boom-bust candidate here. Really for fantasy. Really for the upside. The upside's grand. He breaks off routes great. A deep ball guy. But the targets may not be spraying here. We got a quarterback that's developing. We got Michael Pittman here handling a ton of targets. That being said, A.D. Mitchell still has upside. 208, if you want to gamble on upside, that's a great spot to pay. 209, Jalen Wright. And this is my running back that I would have drafted over Bucky Irvin. I think this is a great spot here for the Miami Dolphins. I think he's too cheap here. I think he should be pushing for the first round, early second. But Jalen Wright at 209, I'd pay that all day, twice on Sunday. I like Jalen Wright, 4.3 speed with the Dolphins. They collect 4.3 speed. Mostert's not going to be there forever. This is my spot for him. Jermaine Burton. As a prospect, I liked him better when he was considered cheaper. Now he went to the Bengals with okay draft capital. I'm okay with that. 210, I like it better than 205. That's what some people are paying. 210 is fine with me because the downside, you don't have to worry about it as much. It's not as insulated with the cost. 210, a lot of upside here with Joe Burrow and company. He doesn't have to be the wide receiver 1, as we all know. 211, Marshawn Lloyd. Great spot for him. This is a great price for him. 205 range and higher is a little iffy considering he will be the backup to Josh Jacobs. I think third round price tag is too cheap. I think 211 is where he should be snagged up, somewhere around this range. Michael Penix, 212, 1 QB league. You're going to be waiting for a bit. I would not be drafting him in the second round of a 1 QB league. I'd let him fall a little bit. Third round at the highest. Third round, there's just too many wide receivers and running backs left on the board. I liked him as a talent during college ball at Washington. Even at Indiana, I was watching him. Good quarterback prospect. But there's levels to this game. You're going to be behind Kirk Cousins. It's going to be a while, and your while may not ever come. Next, second round. Drink me, Blake Corum, Ricky Pearsall. Ricky Pearsall, I want cheaper. Xavier Worthy, boom bust. Troy Franklin, I want cheaper. Bucky Irvin, I want cheaper. Love Jalen Wright, too cheap at 209. Marshawn Lloyd, I love the price tag. That's like the perfect spot. That is like the only pick really that I'm like in love with. Like I'm saying, you guys nailed. Jermaine Burton, I guess that's kind of nailed. Michael Penix, I think that's too early. Third round, let's look who's coming off the board here. Romaine Wilson, Romaine Lettuce, 301, shredding it up on the field here. He's got the speed to burn. He's got a good system here where they develop wide receivers and they take discount wide receivers and develop them. Deontay Johnson was a discount wide receiver. George Pickens was a discount wide receiver. Wide receivers that fall in the draft a little bit, they grab them. They take that value. They work with them. They just fall to them. And I said during the draft process months ago, Romaine Wilson looked like a Steeler. He's with the Steelers. I think this is going to be a great fit. You may have to be a little patient. And it might be just an okay wide receiver 2, top end wide receiver 3 get, though. That's what you're looking at. But at 301, that's fine. 302, Bo Nix. Okay price for a quarterback prospect drafted in the third round. I think one of the better quarterbacks should be falling to this spot. That's where they should be drafted. But Bo Nix, 302, I'm fine with it. But there are other players I'd probably grab over him that are still on the board. Ben Sinnott going 303. Just getting your tight end here in the third round. That's when tight end should be coming off the board. 304, Kamani Vidal. I will be getting Vidal a lot. I will be getting him a lot. And then I'm going to diversify my portfolio via trading him away if he remotely hits. Like I'm going to deal away half of it because the market's hot for him. Everybody talks about him on Twitter. Everybody grabs him in the third round thinking they got the hot prospect. He's on a hot depth chart. He's got room to burn. 304 is a good price tag. He's creeping up. Will he make it to the second round within a month here in these drafts? Will that happen? Will we see him in the second round? 304, it was a fourth rounder. He's at the 304 now. Moving on. Braylon Allen, 305. Banger back. It's the Breece Hall Show. 306, Jalen Polk getting a second round wide receiver with good draft capital in the middle of the third. Good time to pull that on Polk, even though the situation's iffy. Brendan Rice, 307, 7th round pick. Good depth chart. 7th round pick in the 3rd round's okay. You still might be lighting a pick on fire here due to the draft capital. Ray Davis, I love this. I love this. I feel like he's going to get some opportunity here with Buffalo. I feel like he's going to get carries between the tackles. 308, I think this is a great spot to draft him. If you're looking to get a running back on the cheap, Ray Davis should be your guy. The Buffalo Bills went through running backs like hell last year. Just turning and burning them just so they can have a compliment to Cook, and they could not get it done. We had the ghost of Leonard Fournette there, and they killed off the ghost. That's how bad they wanted it. 308, Ray Davis. I'm looking at that. 309, Jalen McMillan. Good route runner. Roster's kind of clogged for the short term, but that route running can give him some upside. 309, not a bad price. 310, JT Sanders. Good spot to grab your tight end, and he's in a spot where the offense is developing. Can he hit? I don't know. We got to see there, but 311, Javon Baker. Great price tag for Baker. He's got a lot of upside. I know he fell to the 4th round, but this guy's got some dog on him. And the thing is, if he busts with that 4th round draft capital, does it really matter when you're drafting him at 311? It matters if you draft him at 211, because that's still a little pricey for a 4th round wide receiver. But 211 is where I'd start thinking about him, but I probably wouldn't be drafting him there. I want that 3 in the 3rd round by his name. 311, I think, is a great price tag. Will Shipley in the 3rd round, finishing up the 3rd round here. Great backup running back. We'll probably get a couple starts under his belt this year. Saquon Barkley misses games, and that could lead to some production as a spot starter where you can sell. That being said, rounding up the 3rd round here, Romaine Wilson, Bo Nix. We got the tight ends coming off the board. Vidal, look for him in the 3rd round of your drafts. Braylon Allen, if you're looking for a running back with talent. Ray Davis is the back for me. Will Shipley's fine. I love Javon Baker. I will draft him higher than 311. 305 is probably where I think it might be right for me. Maybe sooner, depending on how my board is lining up. 4th round, let's get it. Luke McCaffrey coming off the board. I am out on him. 402, Malachi Corley. I would take him in the 3rd round. I'd be thinking about that. I think he's going to get good volume there with Aaron Rodgers if he's seeing snaps, seeing targets. 403, Tez Walker. I'm out, and I'm highly watching him in camp. I want to see if he can move up the depth chart, but if he's hovering down the bottom half, he's out. Anis Smith, no. 405, Audric Estime in the 4th round. Okay, that's fine with me because this depth chart is going to flip on its head. 406, Spencer Rattler. 1 QB, I don't know if I can hold him. It would have to be a deep league. 407, Jordan Travis. No. 408, Ike Garando. Let me see some Ike on my team. I'm fine with that. Good size, adjusted athleticism. Christian McCaffrey will miss games here and there. That just always happens. Maybe a game every 2 seasons. But Ike's going to be there for a bit. 409, Jacob Cowing. This wide receiver depth chart's going to get weird over the next 2 years. So I'm fine at this cheap price tag. One of 2 wide receivers to break out at age 18 in this class. 410, Dylan Labe. Love this price tag. He's got 2 running backs in front of him that don't catch many passes out of the backfield. He could be the spellback. He's got some juice in the legs. This could be some upside for him. I like him in the 4th round. 411, Malik Washington. That depth chart's not too juicy with who's all in front of him, but the pace of play with the Dolphins is. Washington is a solid wide receiver prospect. Could climb the depth chart. Could get opportunities. Attrition could help him out. If he gets opportunities, he could hit, especially in this offense. 412, Rasheen Ali. Good flyer. Good flyer at the running back position. For the Ravens, a good flyer just to watch. A good flyer just to keep an eye on. Here's the 4th round. 4th rounders. The guy I like most, maybe Dylan Labe and Ike Garando. Audric Estime too. I'm pounding running backs in the 4th. I think Malachi Corley should be going in the 3rd round. I like Malik Washington a lot. Rasheen Ali is a guy you should be picking up. Maybe as a UDFA, maybe he falls out the 4th round of your draft. Maybe he goes into the 5th. I do have some 5-round drafts. I do have some 6-round drafts. I have some deeper drafts that have other players in them. I have some deep IDPs. Really depends on how your league's set up. Ali, though, is a guy to pay attention to, but he's also just a flyer. But that's it. That is the 4-round mock. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.